YouTube, Chooch here. I just finished up JH's video talking about civil service exam not being given anymore, and of course I want to give my 2 cents because I did take that exam 20 years ago, and I waited a year and a half to get notification that I was getting the job. So, that's how long it took to get in this place, and obviously everybody is already going to point out that pay was different. I mean, again, I'll reference it right down to the dollar. When I was hired in 2006, my PTF starting pay was $19.04. Pull up the pay chart now. Table 1 is Table 1, Table 2 is Table 2, CCA is Table 3, and the starting pay is like $1 or $2 more after 20 friggin' years. That's an atrocity. I've advocated continuously for the destruction of Table 2 and for nothing but career hires, for the complete abolishing of the CCA position. It's garbage. It should have never been created. Union is responsible, along with the postal people, to say that this is what they wanted to do. This is how they wanted to take our wonderful service and just crumple it up like an old piece of paper and say, well, as long as we get our bloated salaries and management and the union keeps getting their money, we'll just keep this, kind of like polished turd going. And to me, it's not, I don't treat it any differently than I did when I started. I just get treated differently than I did when I was started. And, 2 + 2 = 4, right? I had a line of respect, and I always did. And now, people just look at you. You're just shit, no matter how good you are at your job or how much you're dedicating to it. You're shit because you wear blue. So it doesn't matter how long you've been here. It doesn't matter that you put out and you do an extreme amount of stops per day on your route, taking all the necessary steps of safety. Knowing your rule book. Knowing your rule book is actually, what somebody had commented to say. Well, I said, when you know your rule book, they could either leave you alone or they could, try and twist the rule book on you and to say that new people, they just more or less are easy to control and intimidate, and just, management spews out a time that they should be done. And it's like, okay, I'll just, get done at that time by doing what? Rushing, not taking your breaks and lunch, not delivering the mail professionally, and again, you got 2 eyes, you got 2 ears, you see what's what, you can't help but notice it. And again, this is the problem. Everyone is told, you should just worry about what you're doing and not what anybody else is doing. Fuck that. I am so tired of hearing that from anybody, from union to management to a coworker or whatever it may be. If you see something happening different than it's happening to you, and you can swear on your mother's grave, if God forbid you've lost your mother at this point, or whoever's most important to you, swear on your life and that person's life that that you are doing everything to the umpteenth degree of the best of your ability with no intentions or maliciousness to do anything improper to the manual, the rules, dignity, respect of work, showing up on time, good attendance, everything, then, why do I sit here? Why do I come on these videos and say that, I feel like that I'm held to a different standard. I'm held to, just a different, I gotta bite my lip sometimes, but nonetheless, biting my lip, it just translates to saying that, you know what I'm talking about. JH certainly knows what I'm talking about because, he communicates with me regularly. Me and Mailman Nick, we're trying to do this thing regularly. We're going to try and talk. I certainly love talking to him and Jay and a choice few other people when I get a chance. I want to say a quick shout out to my guys in my chat group, which I'll take a little breather from for my reasons, not anybody else's reasons. I just want to focus on a little bit more on family. We got the holidays coming up, and I just you know, everybody kind of needs to cleanse the palate every once in a while and just kind of, you know, make sure that you're focused on what's most important: your health, your family, you know, your home, and you know, things closest to you. So much appreciated for everybody knowing the deal and understanding that, you know, it is what it is sometimes, and you just got to step away. I never like to be a point of I never like to be the, you know, the guy running the point guard and saying, like, you know, hey, I need everybody to assemble and do as I say, you know, and be where I want you to be. That's not my place, and it never is my place. You guys don't have to, nobody has to listen to a word I say on here, but I can guarantee you everything I'm saying is 100% truth. And in the, you know, with every instinct in my body to say that what is happening with this post office right now is terrible, and it shouldn't be happening. And there should be people that are essentially being dealt with, while other people should be left alone to do their job, which they diligently do, you know, day after day. But it just can't be that way, can it, with the current model? So, Postmaster General Steiner, wherever you may be, if this is your agenda and you want to continue it, then I guess that's I guess, you know, you're in charge. You have the power to, you know, control your side of things. And then our union, NALC, you have the power to either just, you know, continue on as we do, or to make changes and do better. And you need to do better, plain and simple. You need to do better. I am doing my part. I'm going to my meetings. I am trying to do everything I can in my power as a carrier to learn, to educate myself, others, and, you know, I never tell anybody to do anything outside of the realm of fair and honest work. So that's to say that sometimes I feel that there's a different vibe of what carriers are taught. And sometimes they're taught from management, and that's the last place you want to learn to be taught about anything to do with carrying mail. But if you're learning from your union side, it needs to be the right person teaching you the right things. All right, there's different things that are said along, like, you know, to me along among the years of I've been here. Some I like, some I didn't like, some I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, where does that ideal come from? But nonetheless, you know, again, I strive on to say that I work for the people. I don't work for the Postal Service. I don't work for the managers. I don't work for the union people. I work for the people, the American citizens, the people on my route that I take care of wholeheartedly, professionally, and with my head held high every day. Every freaking day I go in there. And, you know, some people just don't have that thing in them, that fire, that draw in them. And I, you know, and it translates to just you saying, you know, to you saying that, well, it's because of the financial situation that I don't have that feeling. Sometimes you might be wrong about that. And you say, if you were suddenly influxed with a $5 or $10 an hour raise, would you truly change your ways of how you are about the job? Or would you continue to be, you know, kind of half-assed, as they say? I don't do anything half-assed. I didn't do anything half-assed when I started. I didn't do anything half-assed when I was 5 years in, 6 years in, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, and now 20. Same performance every day, with the exception of a little bit of age taking over, which is understandable to say that you cannot have those moves forever. But I'm still pretty damn swift on my feet. But I also know when to take my time, take my breaks, deliver diligently. And when I say take my time, don't misinterpret that as saying, like, you know, slow down. All right. I never say that once. I don't want anybody in their right mind, because I've been told to slow down before. And I said, I will never, ever take that order whatsoever from any union person, management, anybody. You tell me to slow down, kiss my ass. Okay. The only time that I sacrificed over years of carrying was not taking a full lunch and not taking a full break. And now I do. There's your explanation, folks. Plain and simple. That's all it is. But nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to believe that. So that's on them. I've explained myself. This is my receipt, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, again, I don't threaten anybody. I'm not a troublemaker. I'm not somebody who likes to, get into confrontations with people. I just like to deliver my route safely and efficiently, teach people and help people along the way that need it, advise those who, could use a little polishing in their, learning of, the rule book, and essentially not being intimidated and feeling like that you're painted into a corner. That's just not the case. You are paying union dues, for a reason, to say that if something is happening that's not right, you're supposed to be able to call on them, and they are supposed to assist you and help you. But nonetheless, you are your first line of defense. You yourself, in knowing those rules before you have to call anybody, before you start saying, oh, they don't do anything, they don't help. It's you. You can file your own grievance. You can do your own homework. You can go to that meeting and say, I would like to bring up a point of interest. I would like to bring up some new business, whatever it may be. You might have to claw a little bit. You might have to deal with some older guys that don't like that, and fresh blood's coming in, but nonetheless, ain't nobody going to last forever. We're all going to be gone one day. We're all going to get through this. You just have to want to do it, and you have to keep the same frame of mind of professionalism every day. No matter how much you're staring into the face of stupidity, of harassments, of badgering, of why would you make that decision, why would this carrier do this and not this, whatever it may be, you are your first line of defense. You are your best, you are your number one fan, essentially. But, at the same time, a little camaraderie along the way, a little decency in between coworkers, some form of sign of recognition by management, if, they can ever bring themselves to do it, is a beautiful thing. But, again, here we are. Nobody seems to have many good stories to tell anymore. So obviously there's a problem. And I don't know, like if Jay said, if that translates to, we don't do the civil service exam anymore. So we just don't have people coming in that seem to understand that this is a career. This is something that, will in time, translate to what I believe to be a better life once you get to a certain point. But, climbing that ladder sucks. I know that for a fact. And I know it sucks more coming in and starting a table two and having to, God forbid, do the CCA startup rather than the PTF startup. At the very least, they should be negotiating hard to say that the CCA goes away, that your clock starts immediately. I hope that's the case. I hope that any of those guys that are running for union president, because I feel like Renfro wants to just keep it exactly the same and not do anything except copy and paste the last one. So, and I don't know, again, Jay pointed out about people doing TikToks and stuff like that. Still see it. I still say it's dumb and you shouldn't be doing it on the clock. I see Mike Cariff is out there carrying his route, and, he's defining that he's taking his break and he's doing something, pulled over on the side of the road and talking about, things that are happening. He's putting it on YouTube as opposed to TikTok, which seems like a lot more hijink stuff rather than education stuff. No offense, TikTok, but I just wish you would go away. So that's basically me just following up to what Jay said, to say that, yes, the civil service exam was a big thing. It should have never been taken away. It demeans the position to say that people are coming in and didn't have to use their memory, didn't have to, go through a process, wait a significant time to pass to, to know that you were getting this career position. But, like I said, there's fault on the union's part and the post office's part for agreeing to eliminate that, for agreeing to, create table two, create the CCA position. This is people that are still in power now that had to do with these decisions. So when they go to sleep at night, I'm sure they're counting their dollars up and having a good old time. But I say, they should feel the wrath of their decisions and what they chose to push forward. So, again, it's not a threat. It's just saying, people are suffering out there. People need a better life, and this thing should provide it. It should provide everybody with a better life. It shouldn't be working paycheck to paycheck, and I'm struggling for food, and I have to get government benefits, whatever it may be. It's not right to have this position and have to do that. You shouldn't have to have two jobs. You shouldn't have to be hustling some other thing on the weekends. It should be you're a tried and true letter carrier. You start off as a PTF, you do your time, you become a regular, maybe you become a T6, call it T6, floater, utility, all the same position. A little bit more money to be paid as a T6. But, again, here we are after all these years having this conversation, hearing people's stories, their woes. This poor guy dying in a machine that was sitting in there. He was in there for 6 to 8 hours before they found his fucking body. And his lady was standing outside of a gate for 3 hours before she was able to find she was going to get married to this guy. He was 36 years old. I know they have to do their investigations and everything, but we've had a good amount of loss on the street and in the facilities, and it just seems like the post office puts a big blanket over everything and tries to they even say oh well, the machine and the facility's still up and running despite having this guy grinded up in this machine for 8 hours. I mean, you're some cold son of a bitches, post office. You are some cold ass personalities. I don't know who you are that release these statements and follow this protocol, but in the end, I certainly hope that poor guy's fiance and family are compensated properly, that no amount of money can make up for the loss of that guy. It's terrible, along with Eugene Gates and, the poor guy that was killed in a deli. I'm sorry, his name escapes me. In New York, he was stabbed and he was killed. Ray Hodges. Again, I pray every day that, besides going to work and being able to do my job, that the job itself is there, that I can get home to my family and do it safely and not have to look over my shoulder. Letter carriers are dying out there and being held up and being, robbed and being hit and beaten. And, post office, once again, Postmaster General Steiner, are you doing something about it? Brian Renfro, are you doing something about it? Anything. Feedback, please, somebody, because it's the same jargon over and over again. You're running your political game for your, to try and keep your spot and your $300,000 a year, but you can see from reading every response that nobody wants to deal with you any longer. So maybe you'll carry mail again if you can actually pull it off. I don't know what you do beyond this, but it's a shame. So 20-year carrier, I'm saying it straight to you. Bad job. So I think that's about it. Everybody be safe. Work hard, work honest, do your best, and hang in there. That's the best I can tell you. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.